Welcome back to the second season of Space Pro Workshops. Our theme for this season is designing millennial homes. We have exclusive five master speakers who will be bringing to you five themes, namely art attack, restyling the living, lighting up the ambience, amalgamation of old and new, and material play and layering of space. This season is brought to you by Osom. It is, in fact, an awesome feeling.
Our world is getting smarter. Every day, every moment, we hear about smart homes, smart cities, smart infrastructure. The gadgets we use are becoming smarter too, like our phones, our TVs, our appliances. But have we ever stopped and asked ourselves, what is smart? Well, smart is anything which gives us convenience, that makes our lives less complicated, and which helps us become more efficient. But then, why are these so-called smart devices so hard to use at times? For instance, why are current smart homes with complicated wiring, complicated panels, complicated apps, and all of this just to turn on a light? Elderly people often find smartphones and their home automation apps very difficult to use. Uneducated people too, they have a hard time in decoding these. Why are our devices so discriminative in their behavior? Why only the privileged few who can use it? Maybe we don't live in a smart world that is portrayed to be. Smart should not just be easy to use, but also easy to execute, install, and maintain. What do you think? What is the way ahead for home automation solutions? After studying the current home automation market and the challenges faced by all its recipients, namely customers and their aspirations of home automation systems, products, architects, system integrations, contractors, local wiremen, etc., we've realized that though the aspiration of the end user is very high, their awareness regarding true home automation solutions is very minimal. Keeping these shortcomings in mind, we at Osum, our designing team, along with our technology partner, Smart Living, have developed a true automated IoT-based switch comprising a perfect blend of wired and wireless technology. This is a first of its kind switch in the world, which communicates via bus, our own platform known as SL Bus, and Wi-Fi. All the relays, dimmers, servers, gateways, timers, etc., all of these inside a single switch. And guess what? It's a complete modular solution. It's completely retrofit. It's completely customizable. It's expandable. It's reversible. It's easy on the pocket as well. And not to mention, it's made in India. Osum Smart Switch. Its key features are its plug and play. It doesn't need any centralized wiring or Cat6 wiring. It fits on a normal modular switch plate. There's no infrastructure cost of central controller. Even the bus wiring is just a simple one pair wire. It can be installed by any normal electrician. Some of its key functions are: it has a built-in dimmer and a fan regulator, inbuilt time scheduler, 16 scene controls on a single switch, cloud control, complete AV integration, even from the wall controller, password protection per room. What all can it control? It can control lights, fans, curtains, door latches, air conditioners, heaters, water geysers, televisions, AV devices, water tanks, etc. It can even turn on non-smart gadgets into a smart gadget. All of these can be controlled via the wall switch as well as from the app, and even remotely from anywhere in the world. Installing this is as simple as installing a normal conventional electrical switch. The only additional wiring needed for the bus communication is a one pair loop from one switchboard to another. It could be a localized wiring or central wiring. It's completely flexible. Also, we have a range of products to enhance your home automation experience. Presenting Verve, the all-in-one smart switch to give your walls that extra luxurious look. Just a tap on the front or the side. It has 16 scenes control. Panache, elegant looking all-in-one smart switch for your walls. Osum aspires to take true home automation a notch higher with a future-ready solution by leveraging on technological revolution called the IoT, the Internet of Things. The world is moving to IoT, the Internet of Things, more rapidly than one can imagine, and Osum is truly ready to be a name to be reckoned with. Osum adds a smart touch of magic to swiftly make IoT part of your life. To add this magic into your life, Email us at info@osom.in or visit our website at www.osom.in.
Jannat Vasi. Honing her skills with acclaimed architects and having graduated in interior architecture from Raffles, Singapore, and furniture design from Pratt Design University, New York, with honors, she has acquired a significant list of clients over the years. Her work has been internationally recognized and featured in multiple global publications worldwide, including Vogue, Architectural Digest, Elle Decor, Living Etc., UK, and Good Homes, among others.
Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. I will dive into living rooms now, which is the topic of mine and very, very close to my heart, because I feel that the center spine of any living space or residence, luxury home or any apartment is the living room. And that's where the entire family meets and dines together and bonds together. So I'm going to take you through a presentation that we have made for you, where we explore 3 different projects, all 3 very different from each other. We'll be focusing on the first project, and I'll be taking you through the entire process that we follow, how we design and how it actually works in terms of aesthetics, but also functionality and suits the client's requirements. So I'll just be sharing the screen right now. Okay. So the first project that we're going to talk about is called the Sky Garden Residence. It's a very different kind of a project, a very different requirement, even though the space is very large and it can accommodate a 3 BHK, which we've done since we designed the entire building, and all the floors is basically a joint family. And the upper floor that you see here is a terrace. So that's the reason why this project is called the Sky Garden Residence. What we've done here, if you see right now, you can see just a blank space, a blank canvas for us. The dark gray blocks that you see are the structure, which we can't play with, but the rest of the entire space is open to sky. So definitely being an interior architect, this was more of a structural challenge for us to create the ceilings, to create the structure and everything. And then how we zone the space to create the entire planning of the residence. So the next slide that you can see, the furniture layout that you can see here, it's an option that we made. So what we do is that essentially we start with the existing layout and then we move on to different furniture options to explore the different zoning of the spaces that are required. The space here that we had to create was a very fancy and a luxurious pad for a young couple. So basically 3 brothers in this family. The youngest brother, who recently is about to get married, actually, he's going to get married very soon. So he wanted to create an entire space for himself, a floor for himself, only for him and his wife. So that's the reason why we've created 1 living room, 1 bedroom, a bathroom, a dressing area, and a powder room. The terrace of this project is the highlight of this project, according to me, and we started this. This was the first furniture layout option that we created. Moving forward, now you see the next one, where we have changed the entire layout so that the bedroom and the living room both overlook the terrace and they both have a connection to the terrace. As this space is a private space, I would say, it's only for a couple and they do entertain sometimes. We wanted to create something that gives you maximum daylight. It allows for very good circulation, very good clearances, but at the same time, it has to be something that's practical and useful as well. So if you can see here now, we have the living room on top and we have the bedroom down. But there are still certain drawbacks in this layout, like the entrance lobby, the screen, a pantry. It creates a smaller living space. Those are some things that we wanted to change and we wanted to refine our layout. So the next layout that you see is the final layout that we create, and I'll be pointing out the entire circulation pattern to you. So now what you see here is the final furniture layout. You can see the red arrows which are marked for your understanding, and basically it's very easy for the clients to understand in terms of graphics of how the entire circulation of the space works. So we start by coming up the elevator or your staircase. The entrance passage is something where we created a very beautiful parametric design. and this entire spine leads you to the terrace. Definitely in the middle, when you turn left, you have the powder bathroom, you have an open pantry or a kitchenette as we call it, because as I said, they entertain a lot, so they need some kind of space where they have their fridge, they have their wine cooler, everything is built in so that nothing is seen or nothing is visually unappealing for that matter. And you have a very nice living room where it's very big. The ceilings are 16 feet high of this entire project, so that is a very big advantage to us. We have maximum light coming in. As you see, we have the windows, we have a skylight water body which overlooks your bedroom and then the terrace. And because we've created pocketed doors in the living room, when you open that, you can also see it when you're sitting on the sofa. So that is something that we found very interesting and unique. And the entire layout, as you see, especially the living space, ties back to the terrace. So I would say that is more of like an extension. This living room is more of an extension into an open space, and it gives you a feeling of vastness and a lot of air, fresh air, and greenery, which is, I think, very important. So next, we move into why this layout works really well. That is something that I think is very interesting for everyone to see, of why we lock into the final layout, because we consider all these different factors. We need to meet all these parameters. One is discreteness and fluidity, which is very important, because when you enter a home, you don't want to look directly into your private space. You want some kind of privacy there before you enter, and before probably you have your staff or your drivers or unknown delivery people coming. So you want discreteness, like I call it, and fluidity, because you need to enter the space correctly, and you need to, I think, maneuver a space in a particular manner, which is most practical and also works in terms of the look of the space. Next is circulation. So like I told you in the earlier slide, the red arrows that you see indicate the circulation of the entire user, where when they come in, how they can circulate and transition into every space in the most effective manner. After this, clearances are very important, because you need to have enough ergonomic space as per standards, so that it's not too narrow for you. At the same time, you don't want to go too wide and probably jeopardize the space of the adjoining zone that you're creating. So clearances are very important. You need to have a lot of open space. Like we say, there is positive space and negative space. Negative space, which is your blank space, is very important to create a good feeling of balance and also a lot of fresh energy into the space. Next that you see is biophilic design. Biophilic design has properties which a lot of people are really realizing now because of COVID and being at home, and they're seeing that how nature can actually impact a person's well-being, and how it can make such a difference by improving your state of mind, by creating some kind of calmness. And also, I think nature is something that you must create, because it's a living element and a living design in a space rather than inanimate objects. So having a very big, huge terrace in this project was a big advantage to the client, and also for us to design. There was some landscaping that we did, which you'll see next when I go to the photos of this project. Also, the terrace that we have is a part of the living space, and it also contributes to additional seating, which is very important. So what you actually get is indoor seating as well as outdoor seating. And in fact, the indoor seating as well has been done in weatherproof fabric. It's also been done, the cluster center tables, coffee tables that you see are all made in actual exotic stone pieces of marble. So they can also work for outdoors. So that's the reason why we wanted to blend both the spaces and kind of, blur the difference between indoor and outdoor in this project. So this was a lot of fun doing. Next, daylight and fresh air, a lot of that coming in, because I feel that is very important to position your windows correctly, to have floor to ceiling windows, to have pocket windows, so that you don't see the windows when they go inside the walls, to create as many interconnected spaces as possible. Also, we have a skylight water body, which is another very unique feature in this project. So the living room, like I told you, the bedroom that you see overlooks the water body, and so does the living room. So when you're sitting on the sofa and you open your window and push it into the pocket, you can experience the entire terrace and one beautiful skylight water body. Another reason for us to do it is that water really instills a feeling of calmness in a person. Also, it has some wonderful reflections when the water reflections from the sun and the rays fall on your different surfaces. That looks really beautiful. And also, we wanted to create a water body, but we didn't want to impact the footprint of the terrace. We wanted to create a lot of space for you to move around and shift things around. We didn't want to block the terrace basically. So that's the reason why we shifted this piece onto the ceiling. So that is something different that we did. Also, this layout gives you access to the bedroom. So the entire whole design works like a loop. So when you enter, you can reach your bedroom and then transition to your private spaces. But at the same time, you can open up all your windows and the entire layout becomes into one unit, which, like I told you, is really nice when you're entertaining or even for a private space that you're creating for a young couple. They can experience the vastness of the space rather than creating compartments, which a usual layout does. So moving on to the next slide, this is something very technical, but it's for a person to understand that when we create a layout, there are many different aspects to address. So we have the electrical layout that we have here. We have a reflected ceiling plan where we show all your levels. We show the false ceiling. We show what heights each space will have, the coves that it will have for lighting. We have the HVAC layout, which is your central air conditioning system. So we need to decide the tonnage, we need to decide the grill locations, we need to decide the trapdoor location. So all these different technicalities go into that. Then we have the flooring layout. So that will address your marble, your stones, your inlays, anything that you have on the floor, even if it may be grass, for example, on the terrace, with all the details. So that is what the flooring layout is all about. And these are just few of them. There are so many more, but just to show the user or the person who's viewing this, this is what the technical layouts look like. Next, since we're talking about living rooms, we're going to show you the 4 different elevations that we prepare before we get into the 3D design and then to the final execution on site. So we have the sofa wall elevation that addresses the side where the sofa is, and we have an open display here with a chandelier and a very nice height that we had, which is a very positive element in the space. So this is the sofa wall elevation. Here it's very important, if you see, we've put a human being in every elevation so that you can actually see the scale of a human being with respect to the entire space, the height and the extents of the rooms. Then we have the TV wall elevation, where we have a floating piece with an exotic green marble back where the TV is. We also have in the corridor a very nice long ottoman, and we have a big circular mirror. We have the kitchen wall elevation. So like I said, we have an open kitchen here, which is kind of, the design is blended into the living room. So it doesn't look like a separate piece. It actually blends into your living space. All inbuilt appliances here. So you'll see a warming drawer, an inbuilt fridge, you'll be seeing an inbuilt microwave oven, you'll be seeing a wine chiller, everything, but it's all inbuilt. So that is another thing that we really wanted to do. As you can see an inbuilt chimney as well. So that was really good exercise doing this. It's very functional and useful for the client, but at the same time, it looks really very nice, seamless and pleasing to the eye. Next is the window wall elevation. So like you can see, we have the most minimum section windows that we have in terms of the thickness of that, but they go all the way from the floor to the ceiling. These are a Spanish company that we used, and we had imported the windows. And some of these, in fact, it has an L. So the L, like you can see where the TV wall is, it goes into the pocket wall that we've created. So that was a very interesting thing to do. So the entire space opens up and it overlooks into the terrace. So both the spaces feel like one. So moving on next, this is a 3D sketch. Definitely it goes into a lot of detail, but to give you an idea, what we do is after we create the furniture layout and the technical drawings, we extrude the layout into a 3D space where we address all the heights. We take a look, we put a lot of human beings inside, we put in the furniture inside, everything to do with the structure, design, loose items, and accessories go into the 3D. We orbit the space, we show a lot of screenshots to the client, they let them we let them give their inputs, and I think then that's how we refine and we create the final renders. Then after that it goes into our final set of drawings, it goes into site for execution, and then you see the final photo shoot images, which I'm going to show you now. So this is the entry corridor into your home. So like you can see, we've done a metal gradient door here. This is from a company called Di Castelli in Italy. And another interesting element here is the entire right wall, which has the door for your powder bathroom, etc. All is in smoked mirror, so that when you enter this space, it doubles up in terms of appearance. But at the same time, it's not exact reflection, but it's slightly diffused because of the gray tone that this corridor has, this mirror has. So we've done a before and after, like you can see. So the before and after is very interesting for you to understand how we start a space, how we create the walls. Like you can see, you've got the brick walls here, and how the entire space with the whole exercise of execution and very intricate planning in terms of the inlay and wonderful karigars who came from Rajasthan and actually executed this for us. This is the result you see. The flooring is a mix of a blue Lhasa marble and a white Australian marble. We have a black grout inside so that it creates a very nice outline, which I feel enhances the entire design. We have the ottoman, which is in a pure Burma teak, and a nice, very lovely old rose fur. And your gold mirror is from Scarlet Splendor. So next, which is the highlight of the entire home, is the living room and the terrace. So looking at the picture on the left, this is the living room. Like you saw in the furniture layout, the pebbles that I was talking about in marble and exotic marbles and in wood are actually seats as well. So you can sit on them and you can swivel. That's the way we've created it. And the same work for the outdoors as well. So it can be taken and shifted. We have a very beautiful rug from Jaipur Rugs, which I feel works very well in terms of giving a very marine and coral kind of a feel to the entire space because of the texture and the colors that it has. The sofa has been custom designed, and the back wall of the sofa is a display wall in marble, in again an exotic marble and in wood, and a little bit of mirror. And this is really nice because I feel that having a little bit of display in a living room is wonderful, because all your collectibles, when you travel, or something from your family that has been passed down to you, can stay with you and you can display it beautifully in your living room. So that is again another highlight of the living room space. This glass chandelier is also the reason why we selected this, with a little bit of color that ties into the space. But again, because it's glass, it doesn't obstruct your view into the terrace. So that is something that we wanted to do. We wanted to have something more light, more transparent, something that reflects really well when light falls on it. So that's the reason why we selected this. The accessories that you see are from Sources Unlimited and from Mahindra Doshi. And I really like the way the entire modern look with a little bit of artsy elements and a little bit of ethnic pieces tie all together. So that is something that creates a really nice balance to the space. Also, the windows, like you can see, are from floor to ceiling, and we've got these really nice high floor to ceiling curtains. So it creates a really nice feeling of height and vastness into the space. So on the right, you can see we have the terrace, which opens up. The windows go into the pocket walls that we've created, and the entire space opens up onto the terrace. And you can also see how the bedroom ties into the living space. It all reads as one element. The ceiling is in fact, that was an awning that we wanted to create for the bedroom. We leveled that with the line of the living room, and we've created a water body in the ceiling. Like you can see, it's a blue water body. When you look below at the three pictures, you can also see how the TV wall is, how your exotic green marble with your gold metal TV unit is floating with a beautiful sculpture there. So I think it has a very architectural, more of like a Barcelona pavilion kind of feel, this entire space. So it's something that my personal design has actually come across in this space. My aesthetic and my style has come across. So I've been very thankful to have clients who allow me to create spaces which where I can express myself and my identity. Coming next, this is the open kitchen. Like I was mentioning, everything is built in, from the chimney to your built-in appliances, your fridge, everything. So you can't see, it's all in shutters. Just a few elements are seen, but again, they're in black glass, so it doesn't obstruct your, I think, vision into the aesthetic spaces, but it actually blends in and is kind of not conspicuous. Another thing is we've done a black veneer, a charcoal veneer, so that this piece looks very classy and solid, and I would say has a very American feel to it in terms of the design. When you look down, you have the TV unit, and when you look on the right, you see a before and after. So you can see how the space works, how we have actually transitioned from the bare site where we were laying the marble, where we had the open ceiling, where we had the entire structure in MS and in metal. And then how, when you look down, we laid the tiles, the backsplash, and all those different details. And then we realize into the final space, which is your kitchen space on the left. So this is a terrace space. Like you can see, we have a 3D parametric FRP jali that we created, we custom designed. So it has a sense of privacy. At the same time, you can also experience the outdoors, and it allows for ventilation because of the tiny apertures. We wanted to create a more homely feel to the terrace. So we've taken furniture which has beautiful natural colors. Our cushions are from Jaipur rugs, so that you can, get a feeling of indoors when you're outdoors, and when you're outdoors, it works vice versa. So I think that was something that was very interesting to the space. All the built-in furniture and the terrace is all at the periphery, so that the entire central space and the central spine of the whole house remains open, and you can move around and play with things. So you can also see how the bedroom works and ties back to the terrace. So like I'd say, the entire space works as one, and that's the beauty and the charm of the house. So here we have Osum automation in our entire project. What you see here is the bedroom, and with a lovely switchboard that matches the color of the gold that I've used. Again, ties back to the chair and the elements of the library and the study desk. And on the right side, we have our walk-in wardrobe, where you have again a switchboard in gold, which ties back to the details in your marble inlay on the floor and the ceiling, and also the custom designed bench that you can see. So now we have covered project 1, which was the Sky Garden residence, and I have explained a lot about how we designed the space, how we started from scratch, and showed you a lot of different technical layouts, showed you the photos of before, after, for you to understand our entire process. Now we're going to go to project 2. The reason why I've selected this project is because it's the same building as the Sky Garden apartment, but we have made a 3 BHK apartment here. This is on another floor. It's for a family where they have 2 children. So we have a master bedroom and we have 2 kids bedrooms, and we'll be talking about the living room here. Like you can see, we have a sofa, a coffee table, and we have a big network wall system, which are modular pieces of cubes which were designed, and it houses many different elements. So that is something that's very different that we did, and it addressed the client's needs again of having a space to house all their art and again their collections, and they have a lot of rare art and memorabilia again. So that is something that was very different and unique for us to design. So like you can see here, we have an elevation. The theme of this house was pop art. So that's the reason why you can see the monkey lights that we've used from Siletti. We have custom created the entire modular network wall system. It has a pantry at the back, so that again, an open kitchenette at the back. So it has some kind of privacy. You don't see that space directly, but at the same time, the whole piece works as one to display different objects, books, etc. Also form a dining table and get your television and your units in place. So this is a photo of the space. This is not a 3D render. This is the actual image of the space where we have created the entire white network wall system. Like you can see, it starts from the electronic cabinet on the right. It has space for television. It has a storage unit below. It has all your display cubes, which have light, in fact, by the way. So it looks really lovely in the night. And it also transforms and morphs into a dining table. And the reason why we've kept this entire piece in pure white in a lovely gloss polycoat is because we know that the objects that the clients have were very colorful and everything, and we wanted that to stand out. We didn't want to mix both our colors of the space and their objects. So that's the reason why we kept it white. Also, the color has been given to the chairs, as you can see. There are these faceted custom design chairs. So that is something that was fun. And again, tying back to the pop art theme. Our coffee table is from Natuzzi, again in colored glass, so that it's transparent and light, but at the same time, it's a very, very big piece. Our rug is from Scarlet Splendor. Again, I really like the whimsical spirals that you see. I think it looks really nice. At the same time, it's a neutral light gray color, so that looks very lovely. These are some more photos of the space. So like you can see, we've created, again, custom designed sofa. You have a very fun art piece. The entry corridor with a David Krakow beautiful metal sculpture. It's called My Heart is a Flutter. And on the right side, we have a custom designed RE gold art piece with a nice antique frame, and our back, which overlooks into the kitchen space and then leads into the third bedroom of the son. So the city residence is our third project. This is again another project for a family with 2 children and the parents staying. We wanted to create the living room here, which addresses the need of the client's big collection of alcohol bottles, and they are really very, very fond of entertaining, and they wanted to have a very beautiful bar in their living room. So like you can see, the area that has been marked here in a dotted line is the living room space. And this is a close-up of the living room space. If you can see, the area that has been marked here is the area that I'm going to focus on in terms of the design. So in the previous project, you saw that we created an open display for the clients because they wanted to display all their objects and all the possessions that they have. They wanted to keep them all open. So we designed something for them according to that. The furniture layout that you see here was created because there were a lot of niches, ducts, and different balconies, etc., which had to be concealed and had to be made as seamless as possible. So like you can see, we have at the bottom, if you see, we have a wine rack, a glass door, a lot of niches which have been made into crockery cabinets and cabinets to keep their bottles and different objects. We have the television, we have a unit below, we have a big bar storage. So all that goes into the entire seamless wall that we've created, and we'll show you how we've designed space and how it's looking right now. So these are the elevations of the space. Again, when we design the furniture plan and we come to our final layout, we then move on to the sofa wall elevation, the TV wall elevation, the bar wall elevation that you can see. I think we'll see that in the next picture as well, and our kitchen wall elevation. So here you can see the final site image that we have, what we executed. Everything is custom designed from your sofa to all your side tables, coffee tables, armchairs, ottoman, etc. The space was kept white. The only thing that we did is we created the entire grid wall system for you that you can see on the right side, which has all the different rooms which have been incorporated. So this entire project wasn't about open display. It was more about concealed storage and not displaying all the objects that they have. So the reverse of project 2, in fact. So we can see a picture on the left side where everything is closed, and on the right side you can see where everything is open. So you can see the TV unit. It has a unit, it has an open black kind of grid where you have your television inside. You have the crockery cabinet that you can see, which is partially open. The art piece that we have again opens up into a bar cabinet, and then you have some art display. So basically every grid has uh, some kind of use that this entire layout had to accommodate. Below you can see we've created a bar. So the bar is in this exotic blue marble that we sourced from the Quarry Gallery. And again, it has the entire same design feature and the same aesthetic as your grid wall system. So it works like a L design. And here we have a little bit of open display for just some of the bottles, and a little bit of art and a little bit of books. So we mixed everything together. That's how the clients prefer to have it. There's also open wine rack, like you can see, which was custom designed on site. So this is our last slide. This is the before and after, which I think is very interesting again for you to see, because this is how the space looked when I actually started the renovation work. And like you can see on the right side, there are many niches and bar and different cavities in the space. What you see down is everything is flushed, and the whole space ends up looking much larger, clutter-free, and soothing to the eye. So this is the end of my presentation. I hope this has been really helpful for you, and you can take back a little bit of this and incorporate that into your home. Thank you.
Hi, Jannat. Thank you so much for that amazing workshop and presentation that you put forward for us. I think I'd like to jump in first and really talk and commend you on a project of yours that's my personal favorite. I think it has to be the home entertainment garage. Everybody does different things, and I think that's one part of the house that's always left so boring and mundane. So to see your spin on it with art, with a lot of neon lights, with a lot of vibrancy is something that I personally love. So coming to that, Jannat, can we expect to see something like this very soon?
Yes, of course we can. And we are working on something that is not similar, but I would say that is very different from what you normally see. Actually, what we wanted to do here, Pearl, in the garage is that I'm sure that there are so many people, like you said, who have garages and they have these vacant spaces like their basements, which are not using to their full potential. But you know, if you can create
of the house.
Yeah, and what you can do actually is there's so much that you can do. Like in this garage, for example, you definitely can showcase your premium cars like we've done here, if you can see. And we also definitely can use lighting, you can use flooring, because the expanse is so large that you can actually use this as your canvas and do so much. So there are a few commercial projects that we're working on also in large homes, the den areas and other informal spaces. We go all out, and you know, we want to do something completely different. We want to create a different vibe, and we want to create something unique for a person who's actually inhabiting the space, or probably even has visitors. So there are some home gyms also that we're doing now, because after COVID and the lockdown, people have understood the importance of training at home and not going to the gym. So we have like these lovely units there. We've got an entertainment center that we focus on. The sound system is very important. So yeah, all that.
That's lovely. And talking about home improvement, which is the topic you covered, and the lockdown, have there been any home improvements at your end that you'd like to share with all of us? Something you turned around a bit differently?
Yeah, so there are a couple of new projects that we definitely have started and taken up. But in terms of home improvement, there have been a couple of remodels of homes which have not been too intense, I would say, because usually we do the entire home from the beginning, from the civil phase all the way till the end. where we give the client everything. But there have been people who are approaching us to get their space spruced up, to get some storage, concealed storage, a lot of different things, like I told you, home office, for example, home gym, for example. So these different spaces that people have recognized the need for, we're getting that incorporated into our current projects, looking at things differently. And also there are, I think, like an entire new crop of clients coming to us with different requirements, and where we're using modular furniture, where we're getting things done in our factories and getting them here instead of using labor, since in the COVID you can't get that done. So I think the perspective has changed, the need also has changed, and it's very important for us to keep delivering and keep changing, and it's our duty to keep giving them what they want. So it's really nice because we're getting a mixed bag of projects, whether it's commercial or whether it's residential, and it's fun because we're getting a chance to explore at all different segments of prices and design as well.
Thank you so much, Jannat. I love the projects you do. Especially looking at the houses. I'm so glad to see people nowadays are really expanding and going away from the age-old typical concept of what a home should look like. I would love to see one someday, and good luck to you. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for coming on the show, and we look forward to hearing more from you.
Thank you so much, Paul. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hi, this is Sachin Motwani from Osum Smart Electrical Solution. We've been in this industry for the last 50 odd years, that is electrical switch controls. And I would like to now tell you that in the last 45 years or so, the electrical switches in India have remained stagnant, the way they work, the way they look. And in the last 5 odd years, we at Osum have taken the lead in India to transform this industry. And not only have we achieved something which we can say is at par with any international brand, in fact, we've taken this product to the next level. We at Osum have developed this smart switch, which not only just turns on and off your light, but it can do much more things. It's almost like comparing an old landline with an iPhone. So what all can we do? We have transformed the way these switches look, the way they function, the features. Not only now you can turn on and off your electrical switches by hand, we can now control multiple switches with just one touch on the wall switch or on the app or even by voice. Not only they come in various premium finishes like glass and aluminium and brush aluminium. So not only we have given new features, we can now say that you don't need multiple switches on the wall. With just one switch, you can control multiple devices in your homes, multiple lights and your curtains and your door locks and your AV gadgets and your AC. So not only can we give you all kind of dimming solutions, right from DALI to analog to even face cut, we can even control VRV air conditioners to your normal ACs like your window ACs or split ACs. And all this with just simple wiring. Even if you've done a normal electrical wiring, we can do all these things. Or even if you've done centralized wiring. So any kind of wiring, so we give you the flexibility of any wiring, any gadget, any lighting, any curtains, any AC. And there is no backend. That's the beauty of it. Plus, it's completely made in India. Now, what all do you expect from an home automation company? We can give you each and everything with just a one switch. What else do we need, right? So it's a complete transformation of our lifestyle, not only in terms of looks, but also its features and function. So this is what we've been doing at Osum, and we are excited for the journey ahead. Thank you.
Sanchit Arora. Sanchit acquired a bachelor's degree in architecture from Sushan School of Art and Architecture, Gurgaon, India, with scholarship programs from some of the most prestigious universities in UK and Europe. AA School of Architecture, London, UK Summer Scholarship Program in the year 2012-13, Politecnico Milano, Milan, Italy, on a scholarship program in 2015-16. Sanchit qualified as an architect with top honors in the university and Dean's List for his thesis on the shadow spaces, an architectural look to the existing secluded cremation spaces of New Delhi.
So hi everyone, this is Sanchit Arora. I'm the principal architect at Renaissance Architecture Design Interior Studio, along with my father, Mr. Sanjay Arora, and who's been running this office for the last 30 years or so. So yeah, I mean, as the topic reads, it's the amalgamation of old with new. That's what we are going to discuss today, because it's something that has been inculcated into the philosophy of Renaissance from the genesis of this whole office, because father, sort of having that baggage of a lot of experience comes along with a lot of the old school thought infusing into the new school thought through my sort of introduction to the firm. So I thought that it would be very interesting to kind of collaborate the old with the new through the infusion of what we call as the unique style of architecture, sort of expertising in the experience of the old school architecture and amalgamating it with the new function and new ideologies in the architecture circles. So moving forward in terms of how we get going on the amalgamation of the old and new is something that we sought to kind of explain it to the audience today through one of our latest projects called the House of 49 Trees. The project is something that has been really has taken a lot of time, because it has taken us almost about 2 to 3 years to complete. So before we start on the project, it's a project where I have also grown through it. My father has also gone through it. So like every other project, it's a different opportunity, and in this one the site itself sort of gave us an opportunity to try something really new, and through new, but something like through an old sort of a philosophy. So I think there was not much better sort of an example to kind of explain the old and new shift happening through architecture or interiors in this project. So I'll take you through the project. All right. So while we were going through the whole idea of amalgamation of the old and the new, because I will have to use the whole concept of old and new coming together quite a few times while we talk about it. The House of 49 Trees, it represents a sort of there comes a time in an architect's life where it's time for the architect to take a sort of a turnaround in itself of an approach of a project. And I think the House of 49 Trees was a very different approach to, let's say, the architecture as well as the interiors, because out here, when we actually got the site actually had 49 trees at the space. So out here, as soon as you see the city mapping of the city of Gurgaon, where it's actually situated, you can obviously see the House of 49 Trees in black, represented in black, with the sort of an urban fabric of Gurgaon coming through, and the amount of trees that are there. So amount of the remaining trees, I would say, that are there. And luckily for us, the site in itself had 49 trees. So, the approach could have been a very basic approach of going about removing each and every tree and just having the full surface area to yourself and building a whole house. But as and when you go back to the whole sort of a concept where the architecture sort of originates from the root of nature, and out here the nature derived the project, not the architecture. So the nature sort of followed up on the architecture, which followed up on the project. So there was a sort of a hierarchy of the whole symphony of items that took place at the site. So moving on in terms of how the site was, this was an 833 square yard property, almost, I would say, with a built up of about 10,000 square feet, and the plot area being about 7,500 square feet. It was in a very interesting site because it's a weird trapezoidal site. The corner plot, with the north being in the direction has been shown, as well as the south face, as well as the east face full of trees. So the one good part about the whole project was that, where the concept of the old and the new match is that we thought of coming up with a modern solution, but with a good tradition. So the idea was that there is no modernity without a good tradition. So from there came the idea of reincorporating all these sculptural elements that we took as the greens at the site. So basically these 49 trees actually became the sculptural elements as well as the rooting elements for us to design the space. So as you could see that the build up, as an architect, was around the trees without removing the trees. So basically respecting the context of the site. While moving on to the whole basis of how the design came through, was that the foundation of the site, the elevations of the site, the materiality of the site, all became a complex concoction of a lot of realities that needed to form that concept of the amalgamation of the old and the new. So from, let's say, the overlapping, jutting out balconies you will see in the coming presentation, to sort of respecting the foundations of the roots of the trees at the site. Everything was taken in care, was taken care of while we were designing this sensibility-based project, as I would say, rather than just being a normal architect and using the full fulcrum of the whole site. So the idea was to be very sensitive to the ideologies, to the I would say the precise nature of being very soothing to the architectural elements. We drew about a sort of a scale element at the site to kind of gauge the scales of the built network that we needed. From there, we kind of decided to, obviously, while the client always has his or her choices, he definitely wanted a pool. And it was not just a pool, it was a pool hanging in the middle of a natured site, a green site, within a concrete jungle of Gurgaon. So, that sort of formed a very important aspect to kind of frame the whole public spaces, as I would say, the living and the dining, as you can see, the lounger, the family lounger, to the master bedroom, to the grandparents' mother's bedroom, to the core and the kitchen, along the lines of, each and every item getting his or her vision of the greens, if you can see. So obviously the pool actually attached itself to the living and the dining space. The lounger, which was basically an extension to the living and the dining, became a sort of an overlooking aspect to the pool. The master obviously was an alienated a backdrop to the grandmother's bedroom, in the sense of facing it towards the south, with the vision only being greens. So it was a very simple, sleek, modern solution, or I would say a new solution to the architectural essence. What comes next is sort of what takes you through to the old roots. The old roots, actually, I would, because it's a very overlapping symphony of ideologies that happen in terms of, there's a very subtle difference between the old and the new, because the planning, as you might say, is a very old style, crisp, old soul solution for a planning to kind of have the implementation of the clean, crisp spaces in the space. to basically finding the right body of structure that was needed at the site, as we can see right now. So the idea was to build as minimum and minimal as possible, respecting what's there at the site. So you start feeling the change of the old sort of scheme running into the new scheme. We could have easily done an internal courtyard and blown the space apart, in the sense of having an internal courtyard. But obviously, because there was no tree, the client wanted to use the core, the internal space as a sort of a space that he wanted to include within the space. So with all due respect to his thought and ideology, we came up with the solution of having the living and the dining, as you can see out here, facing this sculpturesque, the pool, the family lounger also, sort of having the vision panel towards the pool. The entrance obviously was through the east, and looking into the double height space through the core. So the core was something that we didn't want to sort of emphasize on, because eventually, obviously, a core is a core space. It's just to kind of service yourself over the different floor levels, and for the utility wise, the command of the nature of the space. We thought to kind of sort it out in the middle space. The client never had an issue with the vastu, which actually really helped us in creating this, in not stopping or being free to create whatever we wanted. So the living, the master bedroom also came along with the grandmother's room in one, the one node of the space looking into the greens. So the idea was that a kitchen that sort of alienates itself with this, with the elevation sort of servicing itself into the servants' quarter at the top. So the servant was also attached to the kitchen. So the idea was to be very practical, as well as have clean spaces, neat spaces, but a very architecturally sort of infused spaces, I would say, and straightforward spaces, and not messing around with the space that was provided to us, because it was a very tight scale. And as and when the scales are tight because of the sort of the greens coming through, it was important for us to not waste those spaces. Doing the sort of a architectural typology study, we sought to extrude the space along with the requirements that were there, because as and when you saw 1/4 page, there was a typical nature of it being followed upstairs for the guest rooms and the daughter and the son's room as well. So it was a family of 4 plus a grandmother. So the thought conceptualized from there to move on to the final product, that was the screening and the elevation and the facade management of the House of 49 Trees. While the facade seems to be very, very modern, the idea of the usage of the materiality, from the concrete being the béton brut, which has been used for many years now, and a very sustainable product in our Delhi, space, in terms of it sort of maturing with time. I thought the use of a concrete with the red sandstone, the Agra red sandstone, because it's actually withstood, and all the Agra monuments have also withstood time. So I think it was nothing better than using Agra red sandstone to a sort of a white plaster, which was just a basic concept of complementing colors of concrete, red and white, to create something that was organic, I would say, as well as something that was, it blended into the space. So to form this sort of a network of overlapping frames, if you may allow me to kind of explain, is that on the south was a lot of sunlight coming through. So you could see these slats, the metal slats coming in, at an angle so that they could kind of create different silhouettes, different beautiful silhouettes, and the play of silhouettes throughout the day, throughout the different seasons, to create those interesting shadows. So that was one of the ideologies. Secondly, as soon as you entered through this area, there was an angular movement to the side, because we wanted the space to open into the a different angle, for that people it to kind of welcome the people inside the whole space. So if you could see the whole ideology of 1:1:1 space, sort of having these pardis, different sort of facade play were being done in different aspects, from a concrete to a white wall to a red sandstone wall to another material, that's the simple metal slats being painted in terracotta color. It was an ideology which really worked well, because the greens would grow into the space and create that old charm, but to a new sort of a design scheme. As you can see out here in the pictures, the shadows being created, the greens growing up to the whole space. So it was a very interesting site, because while we were showing you the context, there were parks behind it. It's an open three-side open space. So obviously you would expect a lot of greens growing on the other sides. But the funny part is that it's bang in the middle of the urban jungle of Gurgaon. So while the client obviously is enjoying his space, he's also enjoying being in the jungle, or sort of a natured space, while being in an urban jungle. So there's a sort of a different level of complexities that you can gauge while amalgamating new concepts with the old concepts. So that was the beauty of this project. As you can see, that the use of the red sandstone, gauging into the sort of the schemes that we wanted from the overlapping schemes, to these ideas of using the sculpturesque, I call them the dancing sort of trees, or the dancing sculptures at the site. How beautifully they blend into the space without doing so much into the space. So one good thing that I've always learned from nature is that as architects, we never have to invest in nature. The nature does the same for us. So it's the other way around. It's always the nature investing in the architect, rather than the architecture investing in nature. So if you respect nature, the nature definitely would respect you back. And that is exactly what has happened in this project. The pool area, where the slats and the Barraganisque spout sort of plays into the whole space. So as you can see, so you can definitely start feeling that old style of use of material play. It's a very simple, orthodox, old style, old school, red sandstone, concrete finishes merging into the space. But it's not about the whole idea of Make in India coming back in fashion. And obviously, given the current scenario of COVID, it is time as architects we definitely use what is available locally. And I think nothing is better than that, to be really honest. So there were different, as the building matured through different years, through different times, through different scenarios, obviously COVID being the last scenario. I think we as architects also learn to adapt to the whole scenario of what happened at the House of 49 Trees. But whatever said and done, the product that came through was something really different, and really sort of questioned the whole concept of why is there a need of not using Indian-based or local-based, sort of products, because these are the only befitting sort of, the only ones that actually can sustain the environment at the given time. So the use of granites that you see, the use of local material that you see. So that's actually become that old concept, or the old ideologies are coming back into fashion. So the old is actually again mixing into the new. As you can see out there, the scales were changed. The scales were also made. The aesthetics were also played along with the whites, the grays, the red sandstones. So, it's really important to kind of aesthetically acclimatize your ideologies into the space, because interior designing or outside, the architecture, if it kind of gels in well, and it kind of supports itself, it's a very, very hard thing to do. But once you do it and once you ace it, I think there's nothing better than that. And that is what we've actually done at the House of 49 Trees, is that what actually happens outside, which I've been explaining, therefore goes and blends into the inside. The inside doesn't need to be anything extravagant or flamboyant. The idea of the red sandstone, which is being used outside, can be definitely incorporated inside. And that is what exactly we did in terms of the double height wall as soon as you enter. So, it's the subtle nature of how you incorporate something that is new, fresh, but yet has the elegance and the opulence of the olden touch to it. So, every time you do, I'll say something, it will definitely directly or indirectly touch into the whole concept of the old and the new. So as you can see, the wall hanging on the sort of a double height space, as I had explained in the plan, to these planters coming through and these lights coming through. So the effective sort of a brochure of the interior concepts or the interior accessorization and the design has been done on a very subtle sort of pastel shade-ish concept, something that doesn't overwhelm someone. The architecture has to be monumental. That was done, obviously. But when the architecture is monumental, the support systems, that are the materials that are being used, the materiality has to be kept very subtle. And to infuse the person coming from outside to inside, and to gauge people to have something really bare minimum inside, is something that we really looked forward to at the House of 49 Trees. When you come down to the kitchen, you can see the collaboration of the wooden grains to the gray tinges, and the use of the awesome the automation in terms of the panel of the lights, so in terms of the click systems as well. So when it comes to the concept of newness, okay, now obviously it's a modern solution. On the left is obviously the double heights. You can see the automation coming on the right in the kitchen. So the sleekness goes through. The sleekness definitely goes through, but the way sort of the sleekness comes in is something that collaborates the old on the left of your screen to the newness and the sharpness of the new sort of technology and the ideologies. Coming down to the core area, you can definitely see how the old school architecture of having these pure big masses of staircases coming through. It's purely cladded in marble, and this is a Frappuccino marble. And the way it's been done is to incorporate the beauty of this pure big chunk of wood being taken as the sort of the hanging system to the whole nodal system to the staircase. So you can definitely start gauging how the design happened at this house, because I would like to take a pause with you to understand that this house, along with the client, along with us being the architects, wants to create something which was a subtle solution. Again, I come back to the point where we understand that it's not about overwhelming someone. You can definitely overwhelm with understated luxury or understated reality of actually going through a space. So let the viewer understand how understated architecture and interiors can also overwhelm you. So that was the idea, along with using the greens. As you can see on the upper floor, this is the cantilevered space above the swimming pool. Now you start gauging that this is just white plain, white walls, simple lines. But effectively, when you see, it's the green that adds the whole soul to the space. So you need to understand that the concept of the nature growing on the building is for real. And I think it's high time, as we as architects, we move back to the concept of nature driven designs. I mean, it's something that's been, it's a touche, I mean, people have been using this concept of sustainability and all. Obviously, that's something that's been overabused. But in reality, if we definitely don't follow it, we will never get solutions like these, because this is a window. It's a simple window facing into the greens, and the vibe and the feels of the space that kind of changes through the greens, through creating simple lines, simple floor plates, simple subtle volumes. It's something about the old charm of the greens coming through the new sleekness of the spaces. So as you can see, coming to the left place where the automation has been sleekly sort of incorporated into creating a simple vision to the space rather than overcomplicating it with a lot of switches. So the switch system by Osum out here that we used was a simple four-way solution where you can sort of get done with the huge panels of switches that come at any given space, and which kind of makes it look very non-aesthetical. So the idea was to keep it simple, neat, and nice. Coming back to the ground floor where the living and the dining space were. So again, I come back to the point where it is about infusing the right character to the space. If you get the right scales, the right volumes, and the right feels, and the right vibe of what's going outside to inside, you don't need to sort of create heavy volumes to overwhelm something. So the idea out here as well, what I have sort of gauged and what I've been saying, is that it is always to create something simple and sleek, and that is what we did. And this is the same room that kind of faces the sculptural water spout outside. So you can definitely see the changing modes of the space and the changing ideologies of the space through the greens outside, through the water body outside. So it's a very important aspect to play with the human psychology, and that is what we've done out here. The subtle characters of the lights, the family of lights matching to each other, the idea of the automation, the lights falling at the right angles, the sculptures, the accessories, the sofas, everything kept at the right space, the freedom of movement of people, the openness while being not complicated or filling the space way too much. These are all subtle things that need to be taken care of for definitely. When there comes a point where we had to kind of create a sort of a different output to the space, what we call it as the client actually wanted it to be called as like the temple space, rather than not actually having a puja space in his house. So the client from day one wanted a heavenly sort of an overwhelming feel to the whole washroom that we did from the master washroom. These are the pictures from the master washroom. So we did decide to use his own dog for the picture set, but you could see the essence of it being still simple, still plain, still sleek, still nice, but the automation, the way the stone sort of merges with the sleekness of the wardrobes on the side. So all in all, it was a great experience, sort of to create something that was always our aim, our characteristic as a firm, to kind of gauge the old school to the new school. So the House of 49 definitely did allow us the experience to create the magic of the old and the new. And I mean, I hope you guys liked it, because this talk was sort of curated from a third person perspective to visualize what can be done with the power of experience of an old school thought, uh, and the new solutions of the new school. So looking forward to seeing talking about more such projects with iDAC. And I will definitely like to thank Karishma for taking this opportunity and having and given us this sort of opportunity to create a sort of a presentation to give it to everyone out here, to create this whole charismatic experience of getting the old school back into the new school. So thank you for that.
Hi, Sanchit. Thank you so much for an amazing session before this. I really hope people have a lot of questions and they do reach out to you for some takeaways as well. Just to understand, why did you choose this topic, and what is the relevance of the old and the new having to play with your design language right now?
Well, firstly, Paul, thanks for the lovely the lovely opportunity, I would say, to Osum and all these guys out here. Obviously, the topic in itself is a sort of a literature grammar of architecture in itself, because when you talk about the old and the new, just like you, I also work with my father, and sort of a collaborative effort of different generations coming together. That is where the question of the old and the new collaborate. So it is interesting to see the collaboration of the experience and the newness as what we see out here. So that was the exciting part for me, because I've gone through this process, and it's to kind of get back to a very unique solution in architecture, which the world hasn't been sort of exposed to, is something that we sort to look after in the way we work at our firm. So yeah.
Sanchit, I love how you also draw inspiration always from the old and the new. From whatever little I see on your Instagram, it's always a historical monument or something new that you're doing, and always a little good collaboration between the two as far as things that inspire you as well. Any current monument that you're really fascinated by?
Oh, okay, yeah. So I mean, Bauli, okay. Oh, so we're talking about the Agrasenki Bauli. So
Okay.
that's something that I'm actually very fascinated by. It's the step wheel, obviously, the step wheels of the great Indian step wheels. So yeah, that's something that has actually fascinated me really, really, really.
You're not the only designer to be fascinated by Indian stepwells.
Yeah,
So
obviously.
Thomas Heatherwick, for one,
Yeah,
says
yeah,
Indian stepwells inspired him to build a vessel. So I think you're onto a great thing from there.
Yeah, the vessel was a very good example of how he used it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So Sanchit, what are the most important elements to retain when you're trying to work with the old and the new?
Well, Paul, that's a great question, because when you get down to the actuality of the scenario where you need to, inculcate the richness of the old culture into the newness of, the vibrance of the newness. So, I think materiality and the spatial configuration. The materiality obviously has to be the old structuring. In the old structuring, I would say the materiality and the space culture, like the way the space speaks about it. But when it comes to the newness, it's, I think, the conceptualization of the space, as well as the design of the space, that has to be vibrant enough in terms of the context and the current scenario. So I think that is what I look forward to while designing and collaborating the old and the new.
Perfect. And Sanchit, since you did bring it up, and we both, like you said correctly, come from organizations where we're used to working with our fathers. If there's one takeaway and one experience that you think you'd like to share with the audience listening, and kind of how you have been able to bridge the gap between the old and the new and what's worked for you?
So firstly, it's not easy. Okay, it's not easy to work with your father, right? So, but jokes apart, it's obviously a learning curve. It's something that you can gauge. I mean, learn from your own mistakes. What he learned from his mistakes, you don't learn. You just learn and not repeat those. Obviously, that's one important point that we see while working with our parents and given fathers. But the whole the scenario, it's been almost 6-7 years that I've been working with him. I think the most important fact is to sort of come to consensus and see what are the strengths of each and every one. So what is his strength should be under his scope of work. If it's, the technicality and the experience that he has, I think that is what his approach should be. And what my sort of scope is, the conceptualization and the materiality and all. So that's my scope of work. So bridging that to kind of get to a very unique sort of space or sort of ideation of a space, I think is something that I have learned from, over the years. So I think it's, knowing what you are good at. So
I think Sanchit, you've summed it up really well. To learn to beat each other's strengths, I think is how I would like to put it off. But thank you so much. Thank you for making that wonderful presentation. I hope everybody had a lot of takeaways, and we look forward to hearing more from you, Sanchit. Thank you for being a part of iDAC.
Thanks, Will. All right, cheers. Bye.
Hi, this is Sachin Motwani from Osum Smart Electrical Solution. We are a 52-year-old company engaged in manufacturing of electrical switch and controls. Today, we're going to talk about how this industry has not really changed in the last 50 odd years. We've been making switches, as I told you, for the 50 years. And for the first 45 years, it was just mechanical switches, the regular TikTok switches. And not much has changed in this industry. However, we at Osum, we have taken a huge lead in the last few years by transforming this product. So not only have we redesigned the way the switches look, but also the way it functions, the things it can control, and the number of ways it can be controlled. We went back to the designing board and we came up with a product which each and every member of the home, be it a person or elderly person, even from the 50s era, can control the switches. At the same time, the teenager of the home can control the switch in a different way. The house help of the same home can control the switch in her or his own way. Now, this amalgamation was not an easy task. We created a switch which is completely cutting edge from the inside, which is really luxurious from the outside, but yet very simple to use, so each and every person can use it. Now, what exactly is this switch? It's nothing but a smart switch. It's an hybrid switch, so it can work with a wired connection as well as a wireless connection. How all can we control this switch? With the same switch, not only an elderly person can use the mechanical function just on and off, but a teenager can also use an app or even voice, or even a house help by just one touch can create a scene or a master off or a master on. So different people can control the switches in different way. Now the wiring remains absolutely normal. Either the old wiring which you have at home, we can use the same old wiring, or even if you have done centralized wiring, we can even use the centralized wiring. So it's a very good way of controlling things, very good way of giving the liberty to the architect or the interior designer to use whatever gadgets, whatever light, whatever dimming solution, be it DALI, be it your analog, or be it your phase cut. So any old technology or a new technology, old wiring or a new wiring, we can really give you the solution for each and everything through our smart switch. Isn't that awesome?
Ayesha Puri. With everything she learns from each new project, she aims to broaden her design aspirations and extend them to cover not just architectural interiors, but also products, lighting, and any other form of creative output she can channel. In fact, she doesn't shy away from testing fresh ideas on site, and enjoys the process of exploration and experimentation, as is evident in her recently completed project, the interior of India's first laboratory-grown diamond jewelry store in Mumbai. Let's hear from her more on it.
Hi, I would like to thank iDAC for organizing this webinar, especially on a topic which is themed Art DAC, which is very close to my heart, because in almost every project that I do, I spend an equal amount of time planning the art and making sure the art tells a story as I spend actually designing the space. So I'm very excited to share this project with you today. So actually we finished the design for India's first lab-grown diamond jewelry showroom in Bandra, Mumbai. Early this year, it finished in around March 2020, just before the lockdown. So the entire concept of this jewelry store is basically to attract a new customer. Lab-grown jewelry is not a typical form of jewelry. We as Indians and as people who are quite obsessed with the wedding industry have always been used to typical mined diamonds. So the clientele that this brand wanted to attract was mainly younger millennials who would be more open to the concept of lab-grown diamond jewelry. So when the client came to me and explained this entire concept to me, she made it very clear that she wanted a store where it felt like a gallery. It did not feel like a typical retail experience. The goal was to draw in young millennial customers and make sure they want to be there. Because today we are all obsessed with social media, Instagram, shopping online, and retail experiences are not given as much importance as they used to be. So it was very important to actually conceptualize a space which was so much fun to be in that the millennial customer would not want to leave. So when iDAC asked me to basically speak about Art DAC, I was 100% certain that this is the place I wanted to talk about. So I would be able to actually take you through the process of designing the space and how we actually spent so much time customizing each piece of art to really make the whole space come together. Now I'm going to actually take you through the entire design. So I'm going to share the screen with you and walk you through it. Okay, so there is this quote by the famous graffiti artist called Banksy, which says, imagine a city where graffiti wasn't illegal, a city where everybody could draw whatever they liked, where every street was awash with a million colors and little phrases, and where standing at a bus stop was never boring. So in the very beginning, the client shared this quote with me and said, Ayesha, just make this store a place which encapsulates this idea by Banksy. Make people come here and like make sure there are no rules followed. It's not a typical showroom. It doesn't need any typical counters. Everything should just be about fun and about a whole new experience where anything goes. So we actually got this entire quote printed on one of the walls there so that when a customer enters, you actually get to read that and understand what our space is about. So this is the floor plan. This store was actually located on top of an existing jewelry showroom, which is the brand Mahesh Notandas, which is a legacy, age-old, established, beautiful jewelry brand. And the new brand Vandals, which is about lab-grown jewelry, was actually on the mezzanine level above the showroom below. So I think one of the main challenges here was bringing in natural light because there's no windows and it's on a higher level. So I'm going to actually show you pictures of what it looked like before. This was the space. It was pretty dark. And the client herself, you can see that it's a mezzanine level. And the client herself was very, very keen on making this entire space come to life. She wanted the whole space to be transformed into a much more colorful, light-filled, completely different experience to what was currently in the store. So we actually created a mood board in the very beginning, which had this, we were very clear that we wanted this walnut brown color. because we wanted to actually have the most fun with the graphics and the art and keep everything else super classic. So with the furniture, we wanted to go classic tan leather. We wanted to, keep a few brass accents. We wanted to just have wooden flooring, keep it all very classic, all very white, so that the entire art actually comes to life. So this was an early 3D rendition that we did of the space. We actually screened off the space with these aluminum rafters that are powder coated in a wooden finish to sort of create this entire screening from the store below, where light filters in through the louvers. And so you can actually feel a lot of natural light, but at the same time, you're in this private new space. And from the very beginning, we sort of had this concept of these floating jewelry tables where you can just move it around and sort of keep the space very flexible. I think the main thing was this art mural that we spent a lot of time creating. So our reference shared with us with the client was this. It is actually an artist called Jannat, who works with the fashion store Hermes. And he creates these beautiful scarves out of these murals about a fantasy world. So Vandals itself was a whole new concept. And the client wanted to actually show the customers that this is a fantasy world. You entered like this place where there are no rules, like I mentioned. So what we did was we actually worked with a graphic designer called Slate Company, and we created this sort of idea, this theme, where we're going to create a conceptual world about vandals. We're going to make our little city. We're going to have museums, helipads, everything created within this mural. So we did this entire sketch to sort of make the mural, and then we got it graphically designed into an illustration. We constantly kept working on it, trying colors. Then what we did was we worked with an automation company to sort of get a sample print of this done on a fabric. This is when the whole thing was colored and designed and done digitally. We then took this and sort of, this is a paint sample we did. We got these artists to paint on an automation screen. So this was a tiny paint sample, and this is actually the photo of that. And this is the screen. It's a photo of the actual hand-painted screen that came. And it actually eventually ended up looking like this. So this is the most unique feature of the space. It's this whole Vandals world art piece that we created. And actually this opens up and reveals the specialized jewelry collection behind it. So it opens up like this. As you can see behind the desk right now, you're seeing special jewelry limited edition pieces. You can also see the quote by Banksy right on the right side, where I mentioned, imagine a city where graffiti isn't illegal. So it's like going hand in hand, telling the story of the place and then showing this whole mural that we worked on. You can see the same thing with the mural closed. So you see it was open, and here it closes down. So this is why we worked with an automation company to sort of do this whole opening up thing. So it's very grand when you bring a client here and there's the mural is down and it sort of goes up and reveals the jewelry behind. So it's all about that idea of surprise, of fun, of sort of like creating experiences within a space. Another thing we worked on was this piano. What we did was, this is actually the band Coldplay has this piano, which they've got color, and they do a lot of artwork. And every time they travel to a new place, they sort of add on more and more artwork onto it. So we were very inspired by this piano, and we thought of doing our own piano with an artist called Sanuj Birla in Delhi. So we actually went to Delhi, organized the piano, and we got this quote called "Listen to the color of your dreams," to show that creativity is not limited to art. It can also extend to musical instruments. Music inspires creativity. Music inspires a jewelry designer to be more creative. So the client was very, very keen on using these elements of music in an artistic way, like use the musical element itself as a piece of art. So this is the piano that we created, which actually looks like this in the showroom. And if you see, we've also coordinated the colors of the shelves of the showroom with the piano to sort of make the whole thing come together. Again, it's completely atypical to a way a normal jewelry showroom is. It's like a totally new, fun take on this. We've also actually hand painted on suede, saying this revolution is for display purposes only. It's just a fun centerpiece where she wanted to showcase pieces which aren't actually for sale, just some really, really cool display pieces. So this is, again, the whole thing coming together with the piano that we worked on. Now we also have the entire screen wall that I was discussing before. We treated that as an art wall, like the way an art gallery has hanging canvases. What we wanted to do was suspend canvases from the art wall. So what we actually did was, I explained before that Notandas is a legacy jewelry brand and Vandals is a new age take. It's a lab-grown jewelry brand. So it's like classical has actually taught, so all the classical elements from Notandas are sort of followed in terms of the jewelry design, but it's a new age take on that. So we wanted to do this whole thing where we actually, again, worked with an artist in Delhi who sort of used old canvases by classical artists like Monet and Salvador Dali. And what he did was he put new modern artists' artwork on top of that. So we sort of got it imposed onto that. And we got these artists to come and paint. So this is actually a Takashi Pom art piece, which is imposed onto a classical art piece to show this collaboration of classical meets new, which is very fresh and cool. Again, here we had a piece done by Monet, which actually is an old classic piece. And what we did was we worked with an artist called Yayoi Kusama's work, and we sort of imposed that on top of this old Monet to create this new cool art piece. So as you can see, the screen wall, which I was talking about earlier of the mezzanine level, we've got these suspended art pieces put onto that. So it was a really cool thing to do, which actually spoke about the brand, but also became like a really cool art piece for people to come and see. Another thing we did was the brand logo, Vandals. The client didn't want a typical logo printed on a wall or a typical way of display. So what we wanted to do was create this really cool 8-foot long sculpture. And we wanted to create it in a way which actually talks about a diamond. So our concept for this was a diamond is reflective, and a diamond has cuts, it has imperfections, but it's still beautiful. So what we did was we created this Vandal sculpture, which is fully reflective, like a mirror surface. So you actually see your reflection in it. But what we did was we put these paint splatters on it. So when you see your reflection, you still see the imperfections of the paint splatters, and yet it's beautiful. So it actually came from that concept of diamonds and beauty in imperfection. And that is how we put this brand logo in between this whole wall, and we created this sort of niche for it. And that is how this entire art wall came together. Another very interesting element was the cashier zone. So it was a very small space which had no natural light. And we wanted to create like this high impact, really fun pop of color in the cashier zone. So what we did was we actually worked on all these graphic panels, and in the office, in our office, we actually worked with on Photoshop and made these illustrations in different shades of pink and green and polka dots of all sizes. And what we did was we got it printed into vinyls and got it plastered on every surface in the cashier zone. Even this handle you see on the right side, I got it sized to one of the polka dots in the same color, and got even the handle to the safe, the vault that lies behind. We got the handle done in the whole same theme. And the way you see it all come together, it just is this whole burst of color with pink and green, and it's really cool. And we put this quote saying, "An artist is a child that never grows up." We really wanted everyone to like feel like this was bringing out their inner child. We used acrylic chairs and a glass floating table so that you only focus on the whole space around, and so that the furniture actually like is just blended in, and it seamlessly all comes together. We also shipped down this clock from Hublot in Switzerland and got it placed there in the exact same color shades as our polka dots. So it was really cool. It was like act now. The clock is meant to signify like act now, buy now. So it was a fun take by sort of tying it all together with this clock there. Another musical instrument that we used was the speaker in the store. We worked with Bang & Olufsen, and we sort of created this graphic again by the company Slate Co. We did this speaker where we used all these different quotes which the client felt like the brand encapsulated, and we put the speaker on the wall. And sort of if you see that black line, it's actually a metal, it's a metal aluminum section, and we got the wiring through that. So it's meant to actually look like the speaker is suspended on that. So it's actually done in a very like cool way. So this is how the whole, you see the cashier zone, and then you see the speaker, and you see it all come together and sort of relate. This is a lounge area where the people come, they should just chill, listen to music, decide what they want to buy. We have images playing on TV, some of the jewelry making techniques being played on TV. It's all just very cool, very interactive. As you can see, we kept the furniture super, super classic. It was made by Mosaic, the store in Bombay. And we wanted to, like I said, we wanted to mix all the playfulness of the art with the plush classical furniture to sort of come together in a very upscale way, because this is a jewelry showroom at the end of the day. We also use a lot of text in very fun ways. We actually have these shutters where we use this video game font. You know how there's this retro video game font which comes in this pixelated format. So we got that actually plastered onto these shutters to actually hint at the fact that this is a playground, it's a game, like don't take everything too seriously, just come and have fun. Another way in which we use text in an artistic way was on the lift doors. So actually, when you go to a museum internationally, you always will see how they say exit through the gift shop, and you are always actually are taken through the gift shop before you leave. So we actually put exit through the gift shop on the lift doors to just make someone feel like they're in a museum and an art gallery, not to make them feel like they are in a jewelry showroom. So that was another fun thing we did. As you can see, we also customized the lights on the side of it in that electric blue to match our color tones, and did like this fun popping out sort of black stainless steel light. With the furniture, again, we did not want to create a normal jewelry fixed table or any of those chunky tables where people go and sit down. We wanted to just keep it very cool, very like modern and contemporary. So we did these floating tables. We actually worked on the concept for pretty long to achieve the exact kind of table we wanted. These are some samples in the workshop that we created with Mosaic, the company. Another piece of furniture which was super cool was the desk, which I showed you before. The desk is actually paper thin. We wanted to make it very futuristic because lab-grown jewelry is about the future. So this desk was like this floating metal desk, which we got clad in leather. And eventually you can see it there at the end. It's paper thin, you can barely see it. And you see the floating jewelry tables. And it's really cool because you can just move the tables around, change the way it's placed. And it all sort of comes together very, very beautifully in a very interesting way. So yeah, I'm very glad I was able to share this entire presentation with you. And so that was the entire presentation. I have really enjoyed taking you through this entire process with me. There's also a video I would like to share where you actually get a feeling of the automation screen open up and show you the jewelry collection behind. So I would like you to just take a look at that video and enjoy it. Thank you. I am also actually going to just take you through this short presentation from a brand called Osum, which is an automation company, and just show you how their automation products can really amplify the space. So I'm going to quickly share the screen with you and just take you through that. So as you can see, these are these really cool switches, and it's almost unnoticeable the way it's placed on the marble wall on the left side. Again, here also, since this is a white space, this white digital switch pad is perfect for this place. Again, here it's so sleek, it goes so well with the art and the speakers, and it's very super customizable. Even with the piano behind, it's like all blending in perfectly. Even the actual wall socket comes in glass, and it's really, really cool. Again, this is again matched to our customized lighting. So it's all done in a very interesting way. So I just wanted to share that little bit of Osum's cool lights with you guys. So that was the entire presentation of Vandals, this lab-grown jewelry store. It is an amalgamation of art, of technology, of retail, of a new age way of shopping and drawing in millennial customers. And it was really, really enjoyable to have iDAC do this, to have them organize this presentation, and for me to be able to share this information with you.
Hi, Ayesha. Thank you so much for that amazing presentation. I was personally there at Vandals when it had launched, and I don't think I have seen a place as vibrant, as colorful, and full of life with art especially. And that's something that I personally love. So kudos to you on the project. I think everybody out there really appreciated the work you put in. It was so intricately designed. There were so many design elements and art elements and artists that were there. I, for instance, realized there was a lot of influence from Picasso and Yao Kusuma. Maybe one element in Vandals that people often don't tend to look or realize, but is your personal favorite?
So actually, my personal favorite is the mural that we created. One actually doesn't see it because what we did was we worked with an automation company to create this mural on actually a projector screen. So the way a projector screen works, we use the projector screen as a canvas, and we got these artists to actually paint this custom mural, which is always up and there's jewelry displayed behind. So it's only when the remote is pressed that it comes down and sort of you have that wow factor coming in. So that's like, it's honestly my favorite part because it was customized from scratch. It was what the client believed to be her fantasy world or the fantasy world of the brand. So it was her ideas, which were then taken to a graphic designer called Slate, who then worked with an illustrator to actually make small sketches and then convert the sketches into like this 2D line drawing on the computer. And then we experimented with colors for that. We actually, our inspiration for that was, you know, the new Hermes scarf collection. It has this Universalia theme, which is like a whole city on the scarf. And we actually really loved that concept. So we took that and we created our own world, like our own universe, like a Vandals universe. And we sort of went with that. And then we got these artists to actually paint on the projector screen and got the automation company to have it incorporated in a way that it's down and remote control can allow it to go completely up and completely vanish and showcase like limited edition jewelry behind. So that is definitely my favorite part of the place.
I think that's an amazing concept. And yeah, maybe when I go visit it again, I will take a little more time out to see the favorite element and Vandals world recreated on art. Ayesha, talking about art, is there any particular piece that you recently invested in or have your eyes on to get in as a part of your personal collection?
We just got a carpet designed by Paresh Maiti because we were looking for something very different. And there are these Indian masters who are absolutely amazing, but we wanted something very unique. So actually, Brinda Chudasama Miller, if you know her, Ahana Miller's mom, who basically she organized a collection by these different Indian artists, and they worked with Weaver, the carpet company, to actually create woven art pieces. And we just bought a really big circular rug by Paresh Maiti, and it's in our dining room now. And I really love it. Yeah.
That's a piece to love, no doubt. Great. Thank you so much, Ayesha. I really hope people have a lot to take away with Art Matters. And I think a part where you look at art not just being a typical painting, but really playing with it in different components, whether it's a carpet, whether it's a screen that's really, you know, hiding behind, you know, limited edition jewelry. I think there's so much to take away. I hope people enjoy the workshop. Maybe share with us something that they've taken and implemented. And thank you so much for being there on iDAC. We look forward to hearing from you again.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, this is Sachin Motwani from Osum Smart Electrical Solution. We are a 52-year-old company engaged in manufacturing of electrical switches and controls. Now we've been manufacturing these since the last 52 years. But for the first 45 odd years, the electrical switch really didn't have any changes in the way they look or they function. It was purely a mechanical switch, and individual switches control individual gadgets. Now, for the last 5-7 years, we at Osum took a giant leap, almost like a big leap from a landline to an iPhone era. Not only we changed the way these switches look, but also the way they function and the way you can control them. Unlike the electrical mechanical switches, which really control just the on and off function, we at Osum developed a smart switch which can not only dim your switches, which can control your curtains, which can even control your air conditioners, which can control your door locks, and you name it, we can control it. The modern age homes of today are really different than what they were even say 10 or 20 years back. Today's interior designers and architects have the artistic liberty to come up with really new concepts and new designs. However, to control different lighting, we need bulky switch plates. Now, this not only became an eyesore, especially in projects where you use different wall finishes or different artistic backgrounds. So we came up with a really good innovative solution where we have just one wall, one switch concept. And even these switches, they come in really fancy looking shapes and finishes like glass and brushed aluminum. They come in square shape or even a semi-oval shape, and they really blend in with your artistic ambience. Now, what all can these switches do? They just don't do on and off. With just one touch, they can control your air conditioners, your curtains, your electronic gadgets like your TV, any AV controls, and with just one touch on your phone or your wall switch or even through voice. Now, isn't that great? Now, not only different people of the same home can control these switches in different way. We can even now control individual lights, and we can dim them to the bare minimum, or we can create a cluster of lights and create different ambience with just one touch. Isn't that awesome?